Today, Vigilantes, we are going to go over how Arrow could have gone differently. Have you ever wondered what Tommy Merlin would have ended up like? Have you ever wondered who Malcolm Merlin would have turned out to really be? Well, stay tuned to this video to find out, I suppose. How's it going, Vigilantes? Welcome to a brand new Arrow video. As you know, Arrow and the Flash are on a break, and not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I went over the Reddit post of like the scrapped Flash storylines, unused concepts, blah blah blah. I do want to point out that this may not be real. It is, take it with a huge grain of salt. Some of them are verified to be real, I believe, but not every single one. It's kind of, I think, kind of impossible to know that unless you're like an inside man. But since we're, in between episodes, it's still fun to acknowledge these and just think of Arrow differently. So I do want to reiterate, this may or may not be true, but regardless, it's fun to speculate and just imagine what if it went said way. But yeah, I did this the other day on The Flash. I asked you guys if you wanted me to do the same for Arrow. You said definitely yes. I was meant to post this yesterday, but I didn't post anything yesterday, so here we are, I guess. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I just suggest to get a coffee, sit back and relax with, if not a coffee, your favorite drink, and just enjoy, I guess, wondering what could have been different, even if these are or aren't real. I have taken a few off this list because I just don't want this video to go like well over 20 minutes or anything like that. The Flash one was already like 15 minutes or something with just 5 seasons, so, with Arrow having 7 seasons, it's just, I don't want to go over every single one. So season 1, Tommy would have originally become Oliver's arch nemesis, but the character became so popular that producers decided to have Tommy die a hero instead and inspire Oliver to become a better person. Now, what do I think of that? I always want to be like, oh, that would have been so cool to see, but really, the writing and the way that went down, it was a lot more impactful, seeing Tommy go that way. I know we've all wanted to see Tommy come back to the show years and years ago. I mean, some people still do, part of me still does, but it would have been, it's just like Eddie Thawne on The Flash, right? Think of it that way. But the way he went was the way he went, and it wasn't quite an impactful way to go, basically. I don't know how else to put it. So Moira would have originally been the mastermind behind the undertaking, but producers like Susanna Thompson so much they made her a reluctant participant. To keep her around for another season. In the beginning of Arrow season 1, I believe that you could have speculated that, so that would have been interesting. And with the Malcolm Merlin one, I'll read out at some point in this video, you can kind of see how things could have gone quite differently with these storylines, roles reversed with Malcolm and Moira. So that's definitely something to think about. Would you guys have liked that? I'm glad Malcolm was the one to do it and Moira was kind of kept around, for Slade to do what he did in that way. Next possible way it could have gone is Diggle did not originally exist. What? But producers quickly realized that Oliver needed someone to interact with about his crime-fighting activities. Interesting. I can't really imagine the show without, I guess I could imagine it without Diggle, but 100% good decision there, if this is real. Moving onwards, Felicity was slated to appear in only 2 episodes, but became so popular she became a recurring character and was later promoted to the main cast. Now, if I remember correctly, and I think this could be correct, this is an example of one that is correct. I think Felicity wasn't meant to be in the show as much as she was, but obviously, as it says here, something along these lines, she was popular, and yeah, they obviously made her more of something more prominent in the show than they ever intended to. And this is the thing about shows, whether these are real or not, and the Flash ones as well, sometimes the writers have admitted and stuff like that, and we know about TV shows, they don't necessarily decide everything from what episode 1 when they're writing that to the ending. They kind of sometimes make stuff up as they go along, depending on how fans react to things. So Carly Diggle would have originally been Diggle's main love interest. This is what I mean, we're still in season 1. But audiences did not respond well to the character, and she was quickly written out. That takes me back, and replaced by Lila Michaels in season 2. Would have been interesting to imagine that how that went, but I'm just so used to Lila now that I don't want to think about that. I like Lila. So yeah, as I said, guys, in my Flash video, feel free to comment or like keep writing your comments along with your opinions like I'm doing to each question, and then you can publish it afterwards, or just leave your opinion on your favorite speculation or scrap storyline, potential scrap storyline down in the comments below, because I really would love to hear your opinions. And Edward Fire's enforcer would originally be Slade Wilson. Interesting, but producers ultimately decided it was more interesting to make Slade Oliver's mentor turned enemy and changed the enforcer into Billy Wintergreen. So I definitely, I would not want, I personally really liked Slade having that relationship with Oliver, rather than, as it's kind of saying here, another character just being Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. The way they've done Manu Bennett's character in season 1, and I just feel like a lot of these, what I'm reading, I'm glad they did that, basically. Now, here's an interesting one for you guys. Malcolm would originally be Oliver's biological father, but Stephen Amell and John Barrowman believed that to be cliche and suggested that Malcolm be Thea's father instead. If this is true, I 100% agree with that. That would have been really like cliche television. I think that it's a perfect pass the ball to that person, like Thea, for that to go down. So Oliver and Laurel would originally be the endgame couple. It's always interesting to see if people are going to take this very seriously, because I know some people and a lot of people wanted that. But early negative fan reaction to Laurel, coupled with Sara and Felicity's popularity, caused them to start a pivot away from that relationship in season 2. By season 3, they had abandoned the Oliver and Laurel relationship altogether in favor of Oliver and Felicity. What could have been? Okay, guys, we're on to season 2 now. So Slade's vendetta against Oliver would originally be the result of a series of poor choices made by Oliver in his attempts to survive. Manu Bennett's voiced his displeasure with how their feud was stripped down to just Slade's unrequited feelings for Shadow and her death. Now, with this one, I think that would have been quite good. Personally, I would, just with the way that sounds, Oliver making a lot of poor choices and kind of we know Oliver has made mistakes. He's been dark. He's, for example, remembering, like, was it season 4 or 5, just torturing people, and the way he did that, he like skinned them and stuff like that. I just mean, imagine him doing stuff like that really pushed Slade to the point of when they were enemies and he came back to Star City and blah, 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 blah. That would have been kind of cooler than Slade just being like, oh, I love this woman. Oh, no. Oh, screw you, Oliver. I know there was Mirakuru. I know, I'm not really taking the piss, but that just sounds a lot more interesting. Sara would originally join forces with Slade on the island and return to Starling City as Ravager before redeeming herself for Laurel. Producers ultimately decided it was more interesting to introduce Sara as the Canary to steer Laurel towards heroic fate. At first, I immediately thought Ravager, no, and then like, it would have been kind of cool to see Sara like be like dark, without the Lazarus Pit dark, like throw that aside, like, but actually be Ravager or like take on that persona, and then become heroic. That would have been kind of cool to see her reflect upon that and like legends and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm impartial with this one. I guess I prefer the Canary route, but at the same time, she wasn't like Canary, if you know what I mean. I don't know. Interesting. I'd love to know your thoughts on that one, guys. Huntress was slated to return in following seasons, but never did. Fair enough. There were talks about introducing Hal Jordan as an Air Force pilot stranded on Lian Yu. That's pretty interesting. But the character was unavailable. Now, this is what I mean. Stuff like this, who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if, if you're in a writer's room and you're creating a DC Comics show, and, they've hinted to Green Lantern a lot, mainly on The Flash, I believe. I wouldn't be surprised with writers coming up with ideas like this, but for one reason or another, from the higher-ups maybe, they're just like, no, we can't really use that character. And they're like, oh, okay, but that would have been a cool idea, if you know what I mean. As for that story, sounds interesting, I guess. But maybe they didn't want to just do that, put him on Lian Yu, just because they might have better plans for him. So episode 20 would be a backdoor pilot for The Flash, originally featuring Grant Gustin, but after the positive reception to his debut episode, the spin-off was ordered straight to pilot. I believe that this is true, correct me if I'm wrong. Everyone loved that when he was on the Flash Arrow episode. And the CW briefly developed an Hourman solo series set in the Arrowverse, in which Mirakuru provides the basis for Rex Tyler's Miracolo pill. I can't say that. I guess it kind of would have been interesting, but the CW has already got so many shows with only more to come as well. Hourman would have been cool, but didn't he come in, in Legends? I know like there was barely anything in like to him, and he died, didn't they? Yeah, they were trying to solve his murder. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have wanted another show, but this would have been way back in season 2, so maybe I would have been up for it way back then, way before, all the new shows came into play, like Black Lightning, and now we got Batwoman coming, and was Legends even around then? No, I don't think so. But either way, season 3! Jesus, I think this could be a bit of a longer video than what I thought. The CW briefly developed a Suicide Squad spin-off starring David Ramsey, but Warner Brothers Pictures embargoed the characters due to the upcoming movie. The network then greenlit Legends of Tomorrow. Now, regardless of if this is true or not, as I said, let's assume these are true just for the fun of it. I definitely see where they were going with that. If they were going to do a Suicide Squad show, they obviously would have had plans for the movie, and maybe that's why, assuming this is true, this didn't happen. But you can see how that would translate into another Outcast spin-off show like Legends. Maybe this was for the best as well. We wouldn't have been able to have probably the more popular Suicide Squad characters, whereas Legends of Tomorrow is just like a group of outcasts from our own universe, right, that were already established. So I think that would have been the same, like what they've done with the Ghost Initiative and in previous seasons on Arrow, with like the alias for the Suicide Squad, if you will. But yeah, I'm much rather Legends of Tomorrow, to be honest, on the TV show than Suicide Squad. So Harley Quinn would originally be part of CW. Okay, I just spoke about that. Suicide Squad, but it was written out due to the embargo and replaced by Cupid. Allegedly, she would have had a major role in season 4. Now that is super effing interesting, to be honest. And I'm intrigued about this one just because, if you remember, was it cut? I think it was cut. I think it wasn't. Like, it wasn't the episode. Do you remember when Diggle was in Argus or something like that? And then you got like Harley saying that line. It was very Harley-esque sounding, and she was blatantly behind a door, and that's when they were doing the first like Suicide Squad like group. And so that kind of makes me feel like there is some kind of truth to this, but as I said, don't take my word for that. But interesting to imagine that Deadshot would be a major character in season 4's Hive storyline, but he had to be killed off due to the embargo. As I said, if this is true, the movie, obviously Suicide Squad, blah 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 blah, would have been all talked in the movie universe. Katana would be a major character in season 4's Hive as well, but had to be written out due to the embargo. Obvious reasons there. The writers protested to the embargo by killing off Amanda Waller. Wow. The one character from the movie that they were allowed to keep. So, I don't know. As I said, if this is true, that's pretty funny. It's just like, F you. Ray Palmer would originally be Ted Cord. Okay, who builds an exosuit to become the Blue Beetle. Warner Brothers embargoed the character, and he was replaced by the Atom. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I love Ray Palmer on the Flash, the Arrowverse, so whatever, really. Ted Grant, maybe some of you guys have stronger feelings about this. I know a lot of people ask me about Ted Cord and where is he and where is he going to be coming. Manu Bennett heavily disliked his one episode appearance in which Slade was beaten by Thea and declined to return for further appearances for some time. Now, as I said, no idea if that's true. I seem to remember around that time people didn't like that. I can't remember if I did or not, but I would have, I don't know if, yeah, like the Terminator, Deathstroke. Think about it. Beaten by Thea. Somebody who's only kind of been training at that time for like what? Like no time. Originally, the flashback segments would explore the origin of the Suicide Squad, but those plans were scrapped. A lot of Suicide Squad talk, presumably due to the embargoes and the decision to write the Suicide Squad out of the show. Fair enough. Season 4, oh, looking forward to this one, but there's not actually much here. Season 4, Felicity would originally remain crippled and become the CW's Oracle. And, well, talking about Arrow taking a lot of Batman stories, right? That's what a lot of people, well, are saying, and it kind of is low-key true in quite a lot of ways. But anyway, but Warner Brothers embargoed the character, so Felicity regained the ability to walk and became Overwatch instead. I can't talk in today's video. I don't really care. Oracle, I just wouldn't have liked that, to be honest. It's just, yeah, I'd rather have her just become, I guess, like Oracle, like what they've done with mimicking quite a few things and storylines and adapting it in their own way. I'm not bothered about that. So Overwatch, absolutely fine. So Anarchy would not originally be a recurring villain, but producers enjoyed his performance enough to include him as a wildcard in Damien Dark's plans. For me, like, I have nothing against the guy. Maybe I enjoyed him a bit when I first saw him. I don't think I did, actually. Like, I didn't really give a flying F about Anarchy, if I think about it. I actually think I remember thinking he was in season 4 too much. Yeah, but this is season 4. So the flashback segments returned to the island in a failed attempt to recapture the audience's interest after the poorly received season 3 flashbacks in China. Interesting. I don't know what to believe about this one, because that makes sense to me. Maybe they thought, oh crap, let's go back to the ANU. But then in season 5, they went to Russia, but maybe people like that a lot more, maybe because, you know, it was explaining the Bratva storyline. So yeah, interesting, I suppose. The writers did not know who would be in the grave presented in the season premiere up until the mid-season break. When they did, they finally decided to kill off Laurel. I completely believe that one, personally. Just as I said, just from what I do know about other shows, maybe it's not the same for Arrow, but like I presume it is. They do things like this. They really do. So season 5, where they restored Arrow. Prometheus would originally wear the comics computerized helmet that enhances his physical abilities. Very interesting. Just, you know, just conceptualizing that in my head. I'm glad they did go kind of all out original, even though there is a Prometheus. It's really not the same. So yeah, I dig that. It would have been interesting to think of Adrian Chase with enhanced physical abilities, though, but I don't think it was needed. The psychological element and how well he played that role was just so good. It was so good, and there's just no need to add that factor to it as well. That would have been overplayed, I think. So Vigilante would, and this is what I definitely believe this is true, would originally have had a larger role and have his identity revealed, but then he was put on the back burner to focus on the Prometheus storyline. I feel like that's self-explanatory, because that guy just disappeared like that. Felicity's mother, Donna Smoak, was originally slated to be promoted to a regular. She was instead written out of the show. I think you know my opinion on that one. Felicity's father, Noah Cutler, was originally slated to recur throughout the season, but did not make a single appearance until season 6. Okay, just from what we saw of him, like, I guess I enjoyed a bit of it, but I don't think I would have liked him to be in season 5 as well. The showrunners always planned for Oliver to get off the island at some point in the flashbacks, but they hadn't decided which season would be the Russia Bratva storyline. They delayed it year after year until they finally had no choice but to do it in season 5. To be honest, I think that's fine. It made sense as well. I feel like season 5 did those flashbacks and narrative, like for him to leave and return to Starling City, whatever, Star City now. But yeah, quite well. I wouldn't have liked them to do it in earlier. I guess they could have. Season 6 is pretty interesting to hear. Caden James would have originally been the main villain of the season, but due to Michael Emerson's scheduling conflicts, Ricardo Diaz became the main villain instead, while James was killed. Now, for me, I don't, as I said, don't know if this is true or not, but I did not enjoy Caden James. I found him so boring. I really did. Ricardo Diaz was good, and I'm glad that he was quite prominent. It made it, I feel like this worked out for the best, if this is true, with the scheduling conflicts. I have nothing against Michael Emerson. I think he's a great actor, but that was, personally for me, in my opinion, so boring. Slater was meant to return further down the line, but never did. Okay. And there was talks of a romantic relationship between Diggle and Dinah. But this was ultimately scrapped. There were plans to follow upon Talia's search for Evelyn, but this was ultimately scrapped. I'm happy about that, personally. Evelyn's character wasn't the greatest for me either, to be honest. And lastly, guys, for season 7, the season that we are on, there's really not too much, I believe. There was casting calls for Jesse Bowen, an overarching anti-vigilante rookie SCPD officer. Well, that was quite a mouthful. No such character was introduced, although that might have been a deep cover call for Mia Smoak at Black Star. That's true. I mean, that is perfectly plausible. And there were plans for FBI agent Watson to recur throughout the season. She appears to have been officially written out instead. I would like to believe this one, just because nothing against the actress, as I said, but I just didn't. I mean, you may have liked it, but I didn't. No. So, what did you guys think of these possible scrap storylines and concepts for Arrow seasons, 1 to 7? Some of them are interesting, just like The Flash. Some of them very interesting in terms of, would you have actually wanted that to happen? I think, to be honest, most of it was quite sensibly done because, you know, making Malcolm Merlyn the biological father, you may like get excited for that for a single second, but then you realize it's for the best, and that's what I feel like a lot of them are if you're like initially taken away with the idea. But maybe there are some that you would have thought, okay, they definitely should have done that. They definitely should have done that. I think that's some of the responses I've read for some of them. But other than that, guys, I'm going to end this video now. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, it's just a bit more of a fun video whilst the shows are on break. I'll be doing more stuff like this over the next couple of weeks. Smash that thumbs up button as well if you did enjoy this video. It really does help this video get out there, and it tells YouTube that you enjoy this content and you want to see more of it. Other than that, links are in the description as always to my Discord server and other places like that. But thank you so much for watching, Vigilantes. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.